Tonight on KGW News, detectives track down the suspect they say shot two Portland police officers.
Oh, I'm relieved. I don't want him to danger to anybody else.
Plus, hear from the Mount Hood rescuer who battled through dangerous conditions to try and save a fallen climber.
A big chunk of ice about the size of a grapefruit that smacked me right in the knee.
Then the former trailblazer who just threw his hat in the ring for Oregon governor. And later,
when you do it together, this is what you can do. How about the 12?
Tonight, the Seahawks and fans get psyched as they look ahead to Super Bowl 60. But first to our top story at 11, and a bizarre case in Northeast Portland where a man is accused of putting the remains of his deceased mother in a refrigerator. Catherine Cook's here with the reason police say he did it. Catherine?
And David, police say the man told them he wanted to keep getting his mom's Social Security payments. He said his mom had only been dead for 2 days when officers came to his door.
It's definitely shocking. Yeah.
Madeline Bacon just learned what brought police and the coroner to her apartment building near Northeast 28th and Halsey last week.
It's unsettling for sure.
According to court documents, Portland police found the body of a 104-year-old woman in a refrigerator inside Richard Vineyard's apartment, noting the woman was his mother. Court documents say she'd passed away January 19th and that Vineyard told police he'd planned to keep her in the refrigerator to conceal her death as long as possible. He told police he wanted to collect both his and her Social Security payments to avoid being homeless.
Definitely just really makes you think about the state of the world and what everybody's going through, that people are that desperate, and that was the best option, that was maybe the only option in order to have a place to live or something,
Court documents say police learned about the alleged scheme from Vineyard's brother, who reported it, triggering a welfare check. Vineyard was booked and released from the Multnomah County Jail. He's charged with abuse of a corpse in the 2nd degree and criminal mistreatment and theft by deception in the 1st degree. David?
Catherine Cook with our top story there. Thanks, Catherine. In an update, Portland police have arrested the man they say shot and injured 2 police officers a week ago tonight in Northeast Portland. They've identified him as 41-year-old Eric Floyd Elkers. Authorities arrested Elkers along Northeast 82nd, just south of PDX. Investigators say they found the gun they believed was used in the shooting in that same area. Detectives say finding him came down to 1 out of more than 200 tips. DA Nathan Vasquez says his office will, quote, aggressively prosecute.
Cannot and will not become a place where someone can shoot at police and get away with it.
Court records show Elkers was most recently accused in an armed robbery at this Northeast Portland credit union in 2022. With respect to the shooting, he's now charged with 2 counts of attempted murder. In Southeast Portland, detectives are looking for the person behind what appears to be the city's first homicide of the year. This is around 2:30 this morning near Southeast 134th and Harold Street. It's in the Powell-Gilbert neighborhood. At this point, police are not releasing any more information about the victim or the motive. To Cowlitz County, where a deputy coroner is expected to make a full recovery after she was hit by a car on a highway. Justine Enriquez was investigating a fatal car crash Saturday morning and was about to wrap things up when another vehicle crashed into her, breaking her leg. That driver was arrested for driving drunk and appeared in court this afternoon. He's now been identified as 43-year-old Michael Sturgill and has been charged with vehicular assault.
Just knowing what I know about the scene and being on scenes, there should have been multiple fatalities. I can only say thank you, God, for watching over everybody on the scene that day.
Enriquez broke her femur and had surgery over the weekend. All right, let's take you outside on this Monday night with a live look at the Rose City. Here's to hoping you enjoyed that dry day, because change, well, it's now on the way. Matt's here with a first look at some much needed rain. When's it coming, Matt?
Yeah, we haven't been able to talk about change very much at all over the last couple of weeks. Rain will begin to arrive later on tomorrow. Right now, though, it is still a mainly clear to partly cloudy sky. So Salem is down to 32. We're in the mid-30s in Portland as well. So another cool night tonight, but not as cold as it was yesterday morning. Sunday morning, we dropped into the teens at Vancouver and in McMinnville. Now, we had a few sprinkles try to make their way across our area as a weakening and decaying cold front moved over. I saw a few drops of rain. That was it. Nobody picked up measurable rain, and there's really nothing to speak of on the radar just yet. But what there is an east wind developing. Troutdale sustained at 23, but notice even the Portland airport is calm. These winds really confined to the gorge and areas around Troutdale and to the east of I-205. West of there's hardly any wind at all. Nobody else in the state really seeing very much wind right now. But the gorge is going to be windy. In Portland Airport, gusts to about 20 that far west tomorrow. Gusts sustained winds up to about 40. And the normally windy places like Corbett and Crown Point tomorrow, even higher. We've had gusts to 54 miles an hour there tonight. But then they'll begin to back off tomorrow night and on Wednesday. And that's when the rain is going to become this heaviest, if you will. And I'm using that term loosely. But again, it'll be about the wind tomorrow over in East County. So strong east winds. Rain begins Tuesday evening, picks up on Wednesday. And it's also going to be quite a bit warmer this week as our low temperatures will be well above freezing, David.
Hey, definitely need the rain, though. Thanks, Matt. In Minneapolis, the man at the center of President Trump's immigration enforcement surge nationwide is now being pulled out of the state, and according to some reports, including The Atlantic, may be retiring. A source telling CNN that Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino's access to his social media accounts has also been suspended. President Trump is instead sending in Border Czar Tom Homan. This all comes just 2 days after the deadly shooting of local ICU nurse Alex Preddy by federal agents, with tonight Homeland Security saying it's recovering body cam video and reviewing that from its agents. A warning, we're going to show you a portion of witness video from Saturday, though you may find it difficult to watch. It shows Preddy, who was recording agents with his phone, appear to reach for an officer who is pushing another protester to the ground. That officer then uses pepper spray on them, and several officers struggle to get Preddy onto the ground. In one video, an agent appears to remove what looks like a gun from Preddy's waistband. That is before gunshots ring out. Well, on Saturday, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem claimed Preddy showed up to the ICE protest armed with a gun, intending to, quote, inflict maximum damage and to kill. Preddy was licensed to carry a firearm, though at this point there is no evidence that shows him actually holding the gun. When asked about the secretary's words, the White House today said this.
Secretary Noem still has the utmost confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security.
Meanwhile, the president taking a softer tone in calls with both the Minneapolis mayor and Minnesota's governor. The president saying on social media, quote, "We seem to be on a similar wavelength," end quote. And as some Republicans, including the Texas governor, call for ICE to recalibrate its mission, Democratic senators in Capitol Hill say they will force a partial government shutdown if immigration agents are not given new guardrails. Alma McCarty's here. Alma, this all has to do with funding for Homeland Security, which runs out at the end of this week.
Yeah, David, the Homeland Security funding, that is part of a larger bipartisan package. In order to pass, 60 senators need to be on board, meaning at least some Democrats need to approve it. But since this weekend, many have vowed not to if DHS funding is on the table.
Amid growing protests nationwide, growing pressure to remove a $64 billion Department of Homeland Security funding bill from a broader package. Senators in Oregon and Washington pledging not to fund DHS or ICE after a federal agent killed 37-year-old Alex Preddy in Minneapolis Saturday. Here's Senator Ron Wyden.
What happened in Minneapolis shows once again Donald Trump's agents are out of control. The Senate must not continue to vote for this any longer.
Senator Patty Murray, a top Democrat on the Appropriations Committee who played a key role in negotiating the funding package, wrote on social media this weekend that she will not support the DHS bill as it stands, saying it needs to be split off from the larger funding package before the Senate. Republicans must work with us to do that.
The bill is passed without objection. A motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Last week, the House approved the package, including DHS funding. One Republican voted in opposition, while 7 Democrats, including Washington Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez, broke with their party to support it. While she said DHS is extremely important to my community and could not in good conscience vote to shut it down, the representative called the shooting in Minneapolis unacceptable and called for Secretary Noem to step down.
Some Republican senators have called for thorough investigations into the shooting. No word on whether they will work with Democrats, however, to remove the Homeland Security portion of the funding bills. A partial shutdown could happen as early as Saturday. David?
Yeah, that deadline midnight on Friday into Saturday. Appreciate it, Alma. Well, speaking of politics, former Portland Trailblazer Chris Dudley has announced he is once again running for Oregon governor. Take a look.
Quality education, safety, affordability, and a good job. These are achievable. There are real solutions, and I have a plan.
Dudley previously ran for governor in 2010 when he lost to Democrat John Kitzhaber by a narrow 25,000 votes. He is once again running for the GOP nomination and will have to contend with State Senator Christine Drazen, State Representative Ed Deal, and Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel, just to name a few, in the field of 14 Republicans. Whoever comes out on top in the primary is expected to face Governor Tina Kotek in November. In a health alert, Clark health officials are warning anyone who was at Ridgefield High School 2 weeks ago they may have been exposed to measles. The health department says a person who tested positive was at the school when they were contagious. This was between January 14th and 16th. Students and staff from the school who have not had the measles vaccine are now excluded from campus for the next 3 weeks. Health officials say they have not identified any other exposure sites. According to the Washington Department of Health, 87% of students in Clark County are fully vaccinated against the measles. That is just under the state average. New tonight, Powell's Books has announced another round of layoffs. The bookstore called the move its final round of its larger restructuring. Over the past year, the company says it's laid off about 20% of its workforce, affecting all levels. Powell's called the move, quote, extremely difficult but necessary to match costs to the realities of the business.